A subjective history of nature explores different relationships between man and nature in the agricultural region of Le Kef. The project is based on a first work of archiving subjective relationships through a collection of personal stories from local inhabitants. A series of sculpture and a short film finalizes the project and attempts to give form to these sensitive archives. Through the use of manual techniques inspired by the field of textile, my work attempts to demonstrate the importance of our subjective and intimate relationship with the environment in order to inhabit the world and give it meaning.
I thought about the aspects that were important for me when people are eating, drinking, and talking to each other. I questioned myself, is this the essential basis for creation of a community? And what is needed to form a community, to be a member of a society? What is it like to share life with other people, even if you don't always agree with them? In my opinion, a conversation should neither be vain self-expression nor competition. A table discussion should be more than just a small talk. For me, a good conversation at a table is not to position yourself, but to deal with the said content. It's also about taking up positions and to tie in with content. Conversations are not only about offloading information to someone. The desire to and the need of living together are the base for our communication. What all productive meetings, working sessions, conferences and workshops have in common is that they never dispense with having a meal together. Eating together after having listened to a topic can bring theory to life, as people seem to talk more freely while dining together, exchanging the opinion of the before heard. What atmosphere has to be created to achieve a good culture of free and intuitive communication? As my artistic work, I am developing a playful dinner situation designed in all items needed to create an atmosphere that is connecting participants in a ceremonial way, talking and eating together with the aim to release them full with new ideas and considerations. Words, poems, books, pictures, conversations, ideas, lectures. 3 words is a hanger, 5 large topics as a framework, countless shades and aspects in each topic, and finally numerous threads that hold these subchapters together and connect them so that the individual parts form the multi-layered project. Asking the wrong questions and finding the right answers. Asking the wrong questions and finding the right answers. A lot of material is gathered during extensive research, which often makes one forget the overview of the actual goals of a work and one's original intentions. Many aspects seem so interesting and inevitable that they seem to need to be pursued and deepened. Then, when sitting back and looking at all the information gathered, one finds that the topic is suddenly loaded with content not previously followed. By mapping my topics and then radically deleting those whose values didn't last, I found a narrower but still extensive pool of topics. Many questions that could not be answered at first have finally been clarified in working and experimenting with the materials. Circle, ball and hole. First a circle, drawn by hand without searching for perfection, but with the search to close the beginning and the end. Put a line together and turn the straight into a crooked one to create a shape with a single line. Many circles, many equals, or all individuals? Then the round, which takes shape and looks for the spatial because a line is no longer enough. The ball can be held with both hands, shaped, rolled, weighed, never lies still, always looks for a movement, until it finds balance, can settle down. And then the whole, a circle that breaks through a surface, people, a trap. A hole that breaks through a round, scratches a perfect surface, transforms the shape, creates outer surface and inner space. When stirring the saucepan, when cutting with a knife, when clinking glasses. Beside conversation at the table, there are always many other noises that accompany a meal. This work is related to the double interpretation of the German word Ton, which means both clay and single sound. I decided, based on the shape of the bowls I have designed for the table in abundance, to also create non-functional bowls, which should invite you to elicit sound from them. As percussion instruments have to be struck and tapped to create sound, music and rhythm, in addition to using fingers, tools also be needed to tease sounds. Hence, these devices and tools are a repertoire from the kitchen environment, made to evoke sound variations from the dishes. The intuitive contours of the hand-shaped dishes come together to form an ensemble, a laid table as an orchestra of everyday sounds. I decided to develop the design of the tableware through working with the material and finding answers through that. My desired shape was the freehand-formed sphere that doesn't require perfect rounding. I see the circle as a divine shape that is representing eternity. It has no beginning and no end, an essential, unstable and dynamic figure with infinite sides. I also thought about the design of the tableware in connection with the form, the decoration, the function, the symbols, the materials, and the way of production. I chose light and dark clay, and I made hand-formed bowls, none like the other, just as the conversation partners should be. Asking the wrong questions and finding the right answers. A lot of material is gathered during extensive research, which often makes one forget the overview of the actual goals of a work and one's original intentions. Many aspects seem so interesting and inevitable that they seem to need to be pursued and deepened. Then, when sitting back and looking at all the information gathered, one finds that the topic is suddenly loaded with content not previously followed. By mapping my topics and then radically deleting those whose values didn't last, I found a narrower but still extensive pool of topics. Many questions that could not be answered at first have finally been clarified in working and experimenting with the materials.
This is a text by Anthony Joseph and Andrea Benini. We've always known that there would come a time when we would have to leave this planet behind. Space would be my home. This world that we have loved, and in loving so deeply we abused, like a mother abused her own child. Space would be my home. They say it was another ship that brought us here, that we were seeded by panspermia, and now, from the windows of the last ship to go, we look onto the barren fields, to the burned roots of trees and black rivers, and this chemical rainforest. Space would be my home. As we travel the space waves, we leave no data trace. We hibernate through cryogenic sleep, emerging into another world, into another time and space. And as we do, we promise not to make the same mistakes again. Show me the great pyramids or the great plains. Show me a map of these constellations, of Sirius moons and the stars aligning. Show me the fertile springs. Let me build my house on stilts of chrome, overlooking the valley of gold. Show me this place that they call Earth, and let me land this ship. Space would be my home. So long they see us coming and call us UFOs, so long they call us extraterrestrial alien life forces, not knowing that we are death, and we come from a future where we have learned to walk the fabric of time and space. My lunar love, take my hand. Soon we will forget where we have come from, and space will be our home.
We've always known that there would come a time when we would have to leave this planet behind. And now from the windows of the last ship to go, we look out onto the barren fields. to the burnt roots of trees and black rivers in this chemical rainforest. In this chemical rainforest. Space will be my home.
On the Threshold is a participative performance where we take the audience in a journey inside the mind of an author to meet half-construed characters. It consists of an itinerary which represents the labyrinth that is the mind of an author. The performance is the concretization of a reflection on the process of creation and the dialectic relationship between characters and authors. This performance is an invitation to cross the fourth wall and to penetrate the world of fiction in order to discover the voices, the images, the plots, and the stories that reside inside an author's mind and that remain stuck there unless they find a way onto a page, a stage, or a canvas. The journey starts with a shapeshifter, a hostess with different faces that come out one by one throughout the journey. She leads the audience to the other characters dwelling in their natural abodes. The specificity of these characters is that they're trapped. They're trapped within the frame of the only text that has ever been written for them. A question is asked in the beginning of the journey. Why are you here? Why are you here? Then spectators are locked in with the characters, and unless they find the right answer, they have no way of leaving. At the end, are we all but a figment of someone's imagination?
I want my dress. I want it ravishing and elegant and to my ankles, with buttons from my chest to my ankles. I want my red robe. I am a queen. Ndiyinkosaza.
For me, I was young, very young still, and I remember feeling, knowing that there was something wrong, but not knowing exactly what it was. The people who I thought could protect me in my life were incapable of protecting me, and I had to rely on myself.
I was 6 when I was molested the first time, and it's taken me more than 2 decades to be able to talk.
The project came about as a result of my meeting Nondumiso at my solo exhibition, which was last year at the Lismore Associates Gallery.
Jenny and I started talking, and we realized that for us, the reason why we were disconnected from the world was because we had suffered these traumas when we were younger. There was this need for people to find ways to connect again.
It wasn't necessarily to do with the issue of rape and the problem that South Africa is faced with. It was more to do with the feeling that there was a lack of connectedness in society and the way people interact with each other. That if I wanted to really and truly produce something which would be impactful, I needed to tap into something that for me was very emotional. And that's how the Essays Dirty Laundry, the collection of underwear to produce an artwork came about.
When somebody takes off your underwear without your consent, it's that intimate part of your being that gets ripped away from you. It had to be panties and briefs and children's nappies.
I didn't think too much about it. I just put out the request on Facebook for people to donate underwear, and that's how the process started. I think the emotional journey that has come as a result of that is now coming to a point where I'm more comfortable talking about it and more comfortable interacting with people and more comfortable with knowing who I am as a result of all of that. But being on the streets in Maboneng, where we were hanging the installation, and just seeing people on the street stop and look at what we were doing, and taxi drivers stop their cars, wind down their windows and ask you, why are you putting up underwear? And then when you explain to them what it is behind us, and they're going, oh, okay, I get that. I'm going to tell people they need to come here and see this.
The piece begins before I even step out onto the street. It begins in the car with a cab driver who doesn't know why a woman in a wedding dress made of panties is sitting in his car. By the time I step out of the car and I'm outside on the street, I'm still scared, but I already feel a little bit braver because I know that there are people, just ordinary South Africans, who are actually willing to help when they understand what this is about. So doing the piece and seeing all of the different faces on the street, I felt safe. I feel like I'm held by this group of people who are here for a reason, people who are here because they also believe that this is important, people who, some of them, are also survivors like me. A woman says to me, you just performed what I go through every day. But when she said it, she looked into my eyes and we both cried. But it was a catharsis. It was a release. It wasn't a holding like we do when we're quiet, when we don't tell anyone, when you're alone. By the time the piece comes to its end and I start singing Nkosi Sigelela, the original version of the national anthem, and I'm naked, I don't feel that my body is in any harm. And I feel stronger than I have felt in my whole life. Naked in the rain with a group of people I don't know surrounding me.
I have a friend, I have a cousin, and I have a sister, and they're all rape survivors.
I have friends and family who are rape survivors, and I myself am a rape survivor. I have friends who are rape survivors. I am a rape survivor.
And I don't think a month ago I would have said on a stage in a room full of people that I was sexually molested. I just wouldn't have done it. And it's thanks to what Jenny and Nondumiso have pulled together and allowed us as a gallery and, you know, as a person to be involved with.
I'm a survivor of sexual abuse. I know many people who are survivors of sexual abuse. I know at least 3,600 people who are, because they've donated their underwear to this project.
I'm 1 in 3,600. But I know that there are thousands and thousands of other people, and I walk past them. Some I know, and some I don't.